Hello there, friends. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about things that you should make sure to have when you're playing Life is Feudal Forest Village, but you might not think of because it's not something that's big or something that really stands out that you're going to want, but it makes a big difference if you have it. So one of the things that we really need to have is wells. When you start a new village, they give you one well in the center of town next to the barn and the little houses and stuff. And once you build farms, they will use the well to water the gardens. The wells are what they use to put out fires when buildings are on fire. And so it's really important to have wells next to these buildings that are farther away. Let me see, I did build a well over here, but I forgot to build a well over here by my fisherman's lodge. So what happened was it rained and lightning struck this building and it set on fire, but they had to walk too far to get the water and it destroyed the building before they were able to put it out. So it is now destroyed. I can't use it. One of the other things that I tend to forget about until I really need it is a pyre. So the pyre is where they cremate the dead bodies. One pyre can burn one corpse at a time, and it only burns corpses of the people living in the houses within the radius. So you see the yellow circle around? It'll only burn the bodies of the people within the houses in that circle. So right now, I only have these 3 houses. So all of them would be in the radius, and so anybody who died in there would be able to be burned on this pyre. But if, let's say, we get more people and more houses and somebody over here dies and they're not within the radius, it's not going to burn those bodies. Another thing to think about with the pyres is that they can only burn one body at once. So if you have 2 people die at the same time or within a very short amount of time, only one of the bodies is going to be burned at a time. And the reason that it is important is that if the bodies are sitting around for too long, people will start catching the plague because they catch it from the dead bodies. So you don't want to have a whole bunch of dead bodies around. You want to have enough pyres so that you're not going to have people catch the plague. The alternative to the pyre is this crypt here. So the crypt, you can have multiple bodies in there at once, but it only holds up to 5. And it still has the same radius, but it only holds 5 bodies. So if you have it, once 6 people die, one of the bodies isn't going to fit in there. So I tend to go for the pyre. You just got to keep in mind that it's not going to burn more than one body at a time. So you could potentially put like one here, and then if 2 people die at the same time, it should be fine for a while. But at the beginning, when you don't have a lot of people, it's not a big deal. Another thing that you need to think about is the clay mine. So the stone quarry and the ore mine are both good to have because they are a good source of stone and ore, but you can also gather stone and ore from gathering resources. So there's the ability to gather stone, there's the ability to gather ore. So you don't have to have the mines to get those, but the clay is only available when you dig in a clay mine. So it's something to think about. The red areas are where there's not much clay at all. So here, if I put this clay mine here, they would get 5 clay out of it and it would waste my resources because it takes 340 pieces of wood in order for me to build this clay mine, but I would only get 5 clay out of it. It wouldn't be worth it. So that's something to think about as well. Right here would be a really good spot because it's green. The greener it is, the more clay there is, and then the yellow's like a decent amount but not great, and then the red there's hardly anything. So you can build in this green area. Just keep in mind that especially this map is so the terraforming is a big deal, and so like here, even though it's really green, I can't build here because of the way that the land is. So I'm gonna have to terraform if I want to build it here. Same with over here. So here would be a good spot if I didn't want to have to terraform to get it in there. And then just keep in mind where the door is. So if you look closely, the left side there is where the door is. So I don't want the door to be inside of the mountain there, because then they're not going to be able to get into it. So if I were putting this here, I would probably do it this direction or maybe this direction, and just make sure that they can get into it. Although this is really not super, I mean, there's a decent amount of clay, but I feel like the door just keeps going into the ground. So I would probably end up terraforming a little bit before I put it there, just to make sure they can get in there, because it would really suck to waste my resources and build it and then not have it. So that's something to think about. So the ore mine and the stone mine have the same stuff. So depending on which mine it is, you're going to have different areas that have a better spots. So in here is a good spot for the ore, but the stone's over here. So that's something to keep in mind. It's better to have the mines closer to a warehouse so that they don't have to travel too far. And really at the beginning, you want the mines to be near the houses so they don't have to walk too far to get to work. But otherwise, you just kind of do it based on where it's the greenest. So just keep that in mind if you're going to build any of these. And then the herbalist hut and the healer shop, those aren't a big deal until your people get sick. And then they become a big deal very quickly. If you watched my playthrough of Life is Feudal Forest Village, if they get rabies, and I think the plague too, the only way to heal them is with, you have to have herbs from the herbalist hut, and they can only gather herbs during the spring, summer, and fall. They can't get it in the winter, so if they get sick in the winter, you're not going to be able to gather the herbs right away. And then the healer shop, that's where like the doctor is, the healer, to heal the people. But it is a very resource heavy building, and it takes up a lot of space. So that's something to keep in mind as you're going about, is just kind of where you're going to want to put the healer shop. And you're going to probably want to do an herbalist hut, maybe not right away, but not wait too long so that they can get some herbs. It doesn't take a lot of herbs to heal them, but it's better to have a little bit just so that so the healer can do it if they need it. So that's something to keep in mind. The last thing that I want to mention that you might not think about right away is the roads. So the dirt roads help them walk faster than just walking in the grass. And then the paved roads help them walk even faster than the dirt roads. It does take stone to make it, but if you have enough stone, it's good to have this because they can walk a lot faster. It's not necessary, but it definitely helps them speed up so that they can get their jobs done quicker. So that's where we're going to end this episode of tips on how to play Life is Feudal Forest Village. If you enjoyed yourself and you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing and liking this video. If you have any ideas or thoughts, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.